got to do better than this. Hi guys, how are you doing? I've seen the video of a TikToker in, I think it was Houston, Texas, who actually had to go to the hospital because a gentleman took a brick and hit her in her face. The reason was alarming. All that happened was that she refused his advance. The guy actually asked her for her mobile number. You know how it is. Beautiful girl, probably accustomed to people asking her for her mobile number. However, he declined to give this guy her mobile number. Instead of just going on his merry way, the guy took up a brick. He just did not take up the brick. He actually hit her across her face. Now I am asking, when did our egos become so fragile, where a simple refusal of an advancement has resulted in people getting hurt? Is it that people no longer have a choice? We have to do better than this. What was even worse was that others stood by, other men stood by and watched everything unfold. So we are looking into it. One, this gentleman, because he was refused the advance, he made an advance, and the lady declined. His fragile ego was bruised. Look, people have a right to choose. And I understand, I don't know when we became so fragile. Because if you look into it, there are, the saying, plenty more fishes in the sea. So if one pretty girl declined an advance, then of course all you have to do is to look for somebody else. Perhaps, you could say, you're not all that pretty anyway. But you had to leave a mark on her face. And if other gentlemen, as a matter of fact, I know that I'm talking, what I'm going to do in the description section of this video, what I'm going to do is to leave a link so that you can actually see the TikToker that I'm referring to. I think her name is R.H.O. Rio or something. That's how it is pronounced. So I'll look in the description section so that you can visit the TikTok and see exactly what I'm talking about. When did we stop being our brother's keeper? When did we, as human beings, I'm talking about human beings, when did we stop being our brother's keeper? It's not just one man who stood by. It was a group of men who stood by and watched this unfolded. And when everything was over, the guy who committed the crime simply got into his car, drove away as if nothing happened. When the young lady turned to the gentleman, even before, not before she got the hit, when the guy took up the brick, she turned to the guys and said, "Are you just going to stand and let him do this to me?" The gentlemen, they did nothing. And of course, the guy just continued and he hit her properly with the brick. When you follow the link, then you'll get an idea of what I'm talking about. It wasn't a simple hit that this young lady got. It was a proper hit. It was a hit that could have taken her life. Gentlemen, we have to do better than this. When the young lady turned to the gentleman and said, "Are you going to let this happen?" When it actually happened, she turned to them again when they walk away, when the gentleman left the scene, and said, "You guys just stood by and let that happen to me." They looked at her and said, "What did you want us to do? What did you want us to do?" Now I understand that of course people are scared, people are fearful. But when you look into this, this was one guy. one guy and you had a group of men who stood by. Sometimes, unfortunately, men in these instances, you stand by and you know that what took place was wrong, but you fail to hold people accountable. You fail to hold the gentleman accountable. However, I have no doubt that if this was happening to perhaps your mother, your sister, somebody who you are related to, you probably would have stepped in and prevented it happen. We have to get back to the days where we are our brother's keeper. We have to get back to the days where, we start protecting the ladies. And sadly, when you look into it, this is why sometimes, the ladies stop actually turn to each other and say, we have to protect each other. Sometimes this is where they group up together and say, okay, we have to stand up for ourselves because others, the men, are not doing it. And like I've said, I understand that the world that we're living in is a dangerous place where sometimes you end up, paying the penalty for stepping in to prevent things from happening. But on this occasion, it wasn't just one man to another one man stepping in. This was a group of men who could have stepped in together, who could have stood up in unity and say, hey brother, look, what you're about to do is not worth it, right? There is another way. Just walk away. But no. Instead, you stood by, you watched the guy committed the crime, then you look at the girl and you say, what did you want us to do? Is this where we are nowadays? What has gotten into us? Right? I saw it on TikTok and honestly, I really was so upset about the whole situation. Just to know that, human beings, we stop caring about each other. We have to do better. And my peeps, you would have to see the damage that was done to this young lady to understand that, it was not a simple brick that was used. And when you see it as well, you'll understand what I'm saying when I say that, look, this young lady could have lost her life. We have to go back to the days where we are being our brother's keeper, where we're looking out for each other, when we know that, look, there is strength in numbers, right? I really hope that, the police will find this guy and that he will be held accountable. But for the time being, when he committed the crime, when he did the act, he simply got into his vehicle, drove away as if he did nothing. And the young lady was seen in hospital because she actually was explaining afterwards what happened and why she could not believe, what happened. One, she was upset. She could not believe that just for declining to give someone her telephone number, that she ended up in that situation, one. And number two, he could not believe that other men stood by, saw when it was about to happen, and did nothing. It was a brick that was picked up. Nobody stepped in to say, hey, calm down, just, it's not worth it. There are other women, etc. So, I'm just saying, look, guys, we have to go back to the days where we are being our brother's keeper. We are better than this. We are 100% better than this.